Well, we found it. The snow is here in Calgary, Alberta. A huge dump of snow this afternoon, nearly 7 inches, some areas even more.
And here's the thing, the folks in Western Canada are used to snow, but it fell so quick. I can't tell you how many cars I saw on the side of the road stuck, not moving anywhere. They got stranded. It cleared up pretty quickly, almost as fast as it came, and that's just a forewarning for I think what's going to happen as this moves east. Sure, you get snow all the time across Minnesota, but it's going to be so rapid, I think, as we head into Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. You may want to take a cue from what happened today in Alberta as this clipper swings through the Great Lakes. I don't know if I'd call it a clipper exactly. It starts to curve and it really deepens with this trough as it digs in. We've got a lot of lift going on here in the atmosphere. Dynamics are really favorable for some heavy snow into parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, into the Arrowhead, especially as the lake effect kicks in behind this, and also the UP of Michigan with that lake effect, rather. The Arrowhead's going to get the dynamic snow, not really much lake effect going on here, but there will be some lake effect in lower Michigan, and then further east along the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, Huron. We're going to get quite a bit of lake effect snow here into parts of Ontario too, and that precipitation shield lifts north. So as this low wraps up, a lot of snow swinging east through eastern Canada. Another system moving into parts of the west across parts of Washington, Oregon, maybe a little bit of rain and snow, but most of that here into Washington, British Columbia, the Canadian Rockies again. This may give Calgary another shot of some snow. This will drop south into parts of Idaho as we head into Friday with some snow here into the higher elevations, and clouds increase, and so does the precipitation across Montana and North Dakota. The lake effect is going strong on Black Friday, folks. I'm telling you, we've got a strong northwest wind going here into the northeast. As far south as the mountains of West Virginia into the northeast, we'll squeeze the upslope snow showers out here into Pennsylvania, and again, downwind of the Great Lakes, quite a bit of snow. This is where things get quite interesting. We're going to go pretty quickly through this. This system's starting to slide to the southeast. Look at this, guys. It could bring a coating of snow across parts of Iowa, as far south as Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. This is still showing up this evening on the GFS. The run from earlier today, very similar to what we're looking at this evening. It had that dropping to the south and bringing that light snow as we head into Friday, into Saturday. This would be the midday run. Further to the west, snow getting heavy, and then some really Arctic air surging south along the front range of the Rockies into parts of Colorado. Some upslope snow is going to get the snow going here into Wyoming. It could be heavy at times, and more snow flying back into Nevada, Utah, down into Arizona. More snow going here into the mountains, the San Francisco peaks, think places like that, and then into California, Oregon. We stay unsettled with some cold air aloft moving through, and this Arctic high is going to continue to push to the south. Out ahead of it, we're going to see some, again, that upslope flow going here into Colorado. It'll squeeze some snow out. And then there's just been so many different solutions that have showed up as we head toward next Monday and Tuesday. We're kind of seeing some consensus. This was the run from earlier today. This is the one that just came out this evening. I think it's more progressive looking, right? You're not seeing anything dig deep here, but what you are seeing is this cold Arctic high setting up shop. And the GFS has consistently said we're going to get some overrunning moisture, and that would put the ice threat into effect heading into next Tuesday and Wednesday. This is a real long way out in time as far as I'm concerned when it comes to forecasting. I would just say pay attention to this over the coming days. Don't turn your back. We could be dealing with some winter storms still heading into December. This was the run from earlier today. It had quite a bit, I would say a little bit further to the south with the shift of the ice and the snow. I mean, that puts heavy snow into New York City, into Boston. I don't believe it at all yet. More to come. Here's that heavy snow that's dropping out of Canada into North Dakota as we move through the morning on Tuesday. That moves into Minnesota, so Minneapolis, a few inches here. Some real heavy snow, though. Look at the band of 6+ inches sweeping all the way across the Dakotas into Minnesota and then further north and east into the Great Lakes. Some of this could get really heavy. The European and the GFS on board. The GFS says we're going to get hammered with more than a foot of snow, especially downwind of Lake Superior here with the lake effect. And then into Ontario, some really heavy snow here. We're not talking about Toronto. We're not talking about down here to Hamilton, although London could see some snow out of this off of Lake Huron, and then more lake effect going east of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Now, if I let this go out in time, there's that weak system that drops the snow in heading into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And then next week, I'm just going to let this roll because I just think there are so many more chances for wintry weather in many areas ahead over the coming days. As we refine the forecast, I hope you'll come back and subscribe. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist. I worked in TV. That's what I did for a long time. I've been out of that business, but if you're a weather geek like me, I say it all the time. Once you're a weather geek, you're always a weather geek. And you're welcome on the channel here, all right? We'll geek out together. All right, here goes this system sliding through the northern plains, also into the Dakotas, sliding east, and there comes the precipitation into the west. There comes the stronger rain and snow into British Columbia by Thursday, and that spills into parts of British Columbia, Alberta. We talked about this into the Northern Rockies, and this is just a closer look at that. I mean, this could be some pretty intense snow this weekend for the Sierra. I mean, some cold air aloft, a lot of instability. Boy, doesn't that look interesting into Southern California? That would put some heavy rain into LA with some heavy snow into the mountains. Let's watch this. Here's a look at your temperatures heading into Monday. This would be Tuesday, I should say, Tuesday afternoon. Relatively warm across the southwest. Cold, though, seasonably cold, though, across the northern part of the U.S. and towards the lower part of Canada here along the U.S.-Canadian border. Getting cold in the Canadian Rockies at night, down and below zero, and we'll start to see some of this cold air push south. And you know, the snow that's falling up here, what's interesting, I didn't mention this earlier, think about what's happening, guys. Look how low the sun angle is as far north as Calgary right now. And this is the same thing across all of Canada. And you go up to Alaska, and we're going completely dark now. You're going to continue to build the snowpack. You have more nighttime, and with the snowpack, you get colder at night. And I think the models are starting to pick up on that. I don't know if the models are being aggressive or not, but they are not letting go of the idea that some cold is on the way. And wherever the cold and the warm clash, you're going to get some big storms and some big snow events or ice. I think it's going to happen heading into December. It's going to be an active time period. My mind has not changed there. Placement, again, is the key. Here we go on the European. This is a bit of a different look than the GFS I showed you, right? This would be heading into Saturday. This looks a little more robust with the snow, with a little more deepening going on here. Let's go back to the midday run. That was the late evening run today. Once we head into, Saturday and Sunday, this is the time frame I want to watch. Look at that. The European's a lot deeper. That's a heavier band of snow. South Bend up to Detroit. Wow. All right, let's watch that. And then the European is super progressive and says it's not on board with the ice storm idea exactly. It just looks a little different with the timing of everything. But nonetheless, cold weather in the central U.S. with this type of setup. Some severe weather possible as we head into Tuesday afternoon. Again, this time it'll be across areas of the south where it's going to be pretty warm here. From Alabama, Mississippi, further north, maybe even into Tennessee and parts of North Carolina as a lot of southerly flow picks up. Here's tracking the storms heading into Tuesday. We'll see a lot of Gulf moisture moving north. Heavy rain at times from Kentucky into Ohio. A good soaking rain into West Virginia, Pennsylvania. And then again, the severe risk starts to go up heading into the afternoon and evening hours. There goes the snow, the synoptic snow associated with that low moving through the Great Lakes. The front blows through. Behind it, temperatures start to drop. And we start to see the lake effect. And I'm telling you, with the really warm lake waters, we could have some intense snow bands, all right? I know I made a trip to Calgary. I might have to make a trip to western New York or parts of PA to check out the next snow coming this weekend. Here's your temperatures heading through the next 24 hours or so into Wednesday. Here comes the cold into Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Columbus, Richmond. The cold is on the way. At least temperatures will be chilly heading into Thanksgiving morning. Back into the 30s. Highs will be stuck in the 40s in many areas, 20s and 30s around the Great Lakes. Even places like the Deep South cool off, cooler than what we're seeing right now anyway. And then eventually we'll start to warm back up, and then the roller coaster ride begins again.